Yo, what is good? Um, Today I want to talk about more factoring. All right, this is going to be 2.1, no 2.2 right here. All right, this is 2.2 factoring trinomials with leading coefficients of 1. All right, and yep, let's go ahead and dig right in. All right. These are trinomials. All right, a trinomial has 3 terms, of course. All right, so let me first point that out. You got 1, 2, 3. All right, 3 terms. Now we're looking at specifically when the leading coefficient is 1. All right, the leading coefficient is 1. So see how right here, this is written as x squared plus bx plus c, where the leading coefficient right here is 1. Okay, the leading coefficient is 1. Now, factoring a trinomial of the form x squared plus bx plus c means to express the trinomial as the product of 2 binomials of the form x plus r and x plus s. All right. Factoring the trinomial involves recognizing patterns, estimating, looking for clues, and multiplying to check. Since factoring is related to multiplication, a trinomial can be factored by working backwards with the FOIL method. All right. So again, man, read over this. All right. And kind of ask yourself what that means. All right. I got a couple rules for you. Basic rules right here. There are many different methods teachers use to teach factoring. The basic rules though. Become comfortable with sum and product puzzle tables. All right, sum and product puzzle tables. Create 2 sets of parentheses, like so. All right. Determine what the factors of the first term are and write them in the first position of each parentheses. Determine all the possible factors of the constant term. Choose the factors that will multiply to give you the constant term, all right, but will add or subtract to give you the middle term. Write them in the second position of each parenthesis. Check by multiplying, okay? So guys, those are the basic rules, all right? We're going to use those very faithfully in this class, all right? You need to learn the rules through practice. Excuse me. So, rules to determining, for determining the sign of each factor, all right? I'm going to go over that in a second. We'll read through it, all right? Matter of fact, here, if the constant term is positive, both terms will be the same. All right, if the middle term is positive, plus, plus, both signs will be positive. If the middle term is negative, 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 both signs will be negative. If the constant term is negative, all right, the constant meaning c is negative, the signs will be different. All right, if the middle term is positive, the large factor will be positive. If the middle term is negative, the large factor will be negative. Okay, so now let's go ahead and dig in, man. Let's factor this first one. Remember our first up, man. First, we need to look for GCFs off the top. All right, we need to look and see if there's a greatest common factor between all these numbers, and there is. All right, the greatest common factor between 2, 12, and 80 is going to be 2. So I'm going to factor out 2. All right, matter of fact, let me make this bigger so I can have more space to write. All right, we're going to factor out that 2. In doing so, we have u to the 4th minus 6u squared minus 40. Minus 40, okay? Everything I divided by 2, notice the u's don't come out because there's no u here, okay? Now, right here, we're going to use our rules that we just learned, okay? The basic rules of factoring. If you look at your rules above, all right, it said that first you would create parentheses. All right, so I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna go 2, and then I'm gonna put my 2 sets of parentheses. All right. Then it says step 3: determine what the factors of the first term are and write them in the first position. So u to the 4th. Well, how do I get u to the 4th, guys? All right, remember, that's a perfect square. So we have x squared times x squared, okay? Now, step 4, determine all the possible factors of the constant term. Well, our constant is negative 40, all right, negative 40. Okay, so here's our constant. C stands for -40. All right, or yeah, C, constant. So I'm gonna write -40 right here. All right, because go back to -1. Go back to step 1. It says become comfortable with sum and product puzzles or tables. I'm gonna use the table method. Okay. Now back to step 4. It says determine all the possible factors of the constant. Well, of course you have 1 and -40, right? You have here, I'm gonna do it like this: -1 and 40. All right, you have -2 and 20. You have -4 and 10. All right, you have -5 and 8. Then you have negative. You have -8. -8 and 5. You have -10 and +4. You have -2 and -20. Excuse me, -20 and 2, and then you have -40 and 1. All right, that'll get all these combinations will give me -40. All right. Now the reason I wrote all these out is so you can see where I'm going with this. Okay. When you have the factors of -40, all right, well, you got to look at the factors. Okay. You want to pick two numbers that if I add them, all right, if I add those two numbers, it will give me this middle term, -6. All right. Here are the factors of -40, the constant. You want to pick the factors that will add or subtract to give you this constant. Give you this middle term right here, -6. So what pair of factors of -40 can I add together to get -6? All right. So again, I'm doing this all the way out, so you can see every single detail. All right, every single detail. So here we go. -1 plus 40, 39. -2 and 20, 18. That's just 20 minus 2. 10 minus 4 would be +6. 8 minus 5 would be 3. 5 minus 8 would be -3. 4 minus 10 would be -6. All right. And I'm going to stop. I'm going to stop right there because that right there, -6, that's the number we want. All right. So we can go ahead and say, guys, that the pair we want is right here. All right. That's the pair we want because -10 and 4 will give me -6. All right. So right here I have -10. All right. And I have +4. Okay. -10 and +4. Now the thing I want to show you before I continue, one more thing I want to show you is this. Also, if you look back at your rules where it says rules for determining the signs, all right, that's kind of a lot to remember. All right, that's why I use the table and I just write them out so you can see the signs. If you read the rules and you can put them in your head, it says number 2 says here. Let's just scroll up. Number 2 says if the constant term is negative, so we had -40. All right, then look on your paper. It says the signs will be different. All right, if the middle term is positive, the larger term will be positive. The middle term is negative, so the larger term will be negative. So in this case, the C is a negative. The constant is a negative. So and this is a negative, so the larger term will be negative right there. Okay, that will be negative. So this is now factored. It's still not factored completely because we actually have something else going on here. All right, and we have right here the sum of two squares. All right, so for the sake of practice, I'm gonna go ahead and work it in. Well, I'm just going to write the answer. We talked about this extensively in the last video. All right, but what you get right here, because it's the sum of two squares is a perfect square, is a perfect square. You get 2 times x squared minus 10, right? This is done. All right, this doesn't break down right here where you actually, that doesn't break down. And this right here, you'll get x plus 2i and x minus 2i, like that, okay? So the thing to remember here is, again, plus 4, x squared plus 4, the sum of two squares, you're gonna have the I, all right? So that's number 1. Number 2, let's go over to, all right, again, you have x to the 4th plus 14x squared plus 45. All right, so I'm going to make 2 sets of parentheses. And x to the 4th will give us x squared times x squared. All right. Now, I need to find the factors of 45. That's my constant. And those same factors should add to give me 14. So 45, let's go 1 and 45. All right, 1 and 45, 2, 3, 3 and 15, 5 and 9. All right, 5 and 9. All right, now let's check. There also are the negatives, guys. All right, like if you had -5, -9, -3, -15. All right, but we're trying to get positive 14. So if I add those up, you got 46, 18, 14. So 5 and 9 are my factors. All right, so plus 5, plus 9. All right. Again, you'll see right here, and I'm just going to simplify it all the way. The sum of two squares, perfect square, perfect square. So you have x squared plus 5 times x plus 3i and x minus 3i. All right, so there you go, simplified. Number 3. Let's see. Again, first, look and see if there's a GCF. All right. 6 and 24 has the factor of 6 in common. So I factor out of 6. I'm left with m to the 4th minus 4. All right. So now we have, because 6 times m to the 4th, 6 m to the 4th, 6 times -4 is -24. All right. So now we have the difference of two squares. Remember, even exponents are always perfect squares. All right. So I'm going to apply the difference of two squares right here. So you have 6 times m squared plus 2 and m squared minus 2. All right, that is factored completely, okay? Over here, number 4, again, look for a GCF. All right, the GCF right here is going to be 4. So I factor out of 4. You have 4 times x to the 4 minus 16x squared plus 60. Okay. Now, what are the factors of our constant, which is 60, that will add to give me -16? So of 60, you have 1 in 60. Here, let's see. No, I want positive 60. I want positive 60. So -1, -60, -2, -30. Now, I know some of you are like, why are you doing negatives? Because I need positive 60. And see how this is negative? All right. Well, again, this goes back to the rules up top, the signs. Or just kind of a number sense. If you think about it, to make this positive, they both need to be negative, or both positive. All right. So just got to practice. -3 and -20. All right. -4 and 15. -15, excuse me. -5. And -12. -6 and -10. All right, so here we go. Right there. That, guys, if I add them up, will give me -16 right here. So my factors are x to the 4th minus 6. And I'm sorry, x to the 4th. To make x to the 4th, you need x squared and x squared. So -6 minus 10. All right, so now again, the leading coefficient is 1, so we're gonna look at the constant, -72. All right, we need to figure out what factors of -72 will add to give me 1 right here. All right, so let me go ahead and get my parentheses out here. X squared, x squared. Now for 72, the factors we have 1 and 72, of course, that's not going to give me 1. 2 and 36, nope. 3, no. 4, no. Let's see, 9 and 8. All right, so 9 times 8 is 72. All right, but -9 times 8, -9 times 8 is -72, and -8 times 9 is -72. So let's see, -9 plus 8 is -1, and -8 plus 9 is 1. So here's our combination. So -8 and plus 9, okay? So now, that's the factor of this. But again, for the sake of practice, this is the sum of two squares. So x squared minus 8, x plus 3i, x minus 3i. All right, sum of two squares. Remember the rules, okay? All right, here, 6. First of all, there's an obvious greatest common factor here, 4. All right, so I have x to the 4th plus 4x squared plus 3. All right, so now we have 4 times our parentheses right here. And for x to the 4th, we're going to put x squared and x squared. Now, my factors of my constant is 3. What are my factors of 3? 1 and 3. Right? Well, 1 plus 3 is 4. So x plus 1, x plus 3. Alright, so here the sum of two squares. Alright, so we have x plus 1i, x minus 1i, and x squared plus 3. Alright, so there we go. Alright, so what we got right here, man, is a you try. Okay, so you try. Practice these, okay? Give this a try. And I'll write the answers in at the end of the video so you can have a look. Try them. Alright, try them. Let me know what you get. And we'll talk about them in class, okay? So take a look at these, and there are your solutions, okay? Alright, let's move right along. For this portion of our video, guys, solving equations, all right? Guys, you factor the same, all right? The only difference is when a polynomial is written in the equation means there's an equal sign, all right? We need to solve the variable. These solutions can also be called roots, all right? There's a couple different names. So I'm going to tell you, we call it all roots, zeros, or x-intercepts. All right, again, that's roots. You can call them zeros or the x-intercept. All right, which we'll talk about all this extensively in a minute. In order to solve for a variable, we must use the zero product property, which says if an equation is equal to 0, at least one of its factors must be 0. Okay. All right. Steps. Make sure the equation is set equal to 0. Make sure it's set equal to 0. Factor. All right. Then set each factor equal to 0. Okay. So here's the first example. This first example right here, x squared plus 7x minus 30. All right. Again, we look at the constant. All right. What's going to give me the factors of negative 30 right here? All right. Because there's no GCF. All right. There's no GCF. Remember, that's the first thing we look for. All right. First thing we look for. All right. So there's no GCF. So now, what are my factors of negative 30? All right. We got, let's see, 1 and negative 30. We got 2 and negative 15. We got 3 and 10. You know what that looks about, right? 3 and negative 10, or 10, negative 10, and 3. All right. So one of these has to add up to give me positive 7 right there. Make this a little bigger. So, all right, one of these need to add to give me that 7. So 3 and minus 10, that's negative 7, one positive. So, oops, good night. That's the same thing in it. All right, so how about that? 10 and negative 3. All right, 10 minus 3 is 7. So those are my factors. You have x plus 10, and you have x minus 3 equals 0, like that. All right. Step 1. All right. Make sure the equation is equal to 0. Step 2, factor. We just factor. Now set each factor equal to 0. All right. Each factor. So now that we did that, let me move this out the way and show you what that means. All right. We're going to set each factor equal to 0. So right here, I'm going to go x plus 10 equal to 0 and solve it. All right. And the other one's going to be x minus 3 equals 0. All right. So for this one, when we solve it out, we get x plus 10 equals 0. Subtract 10 on both sides. We get x equals negative 10. All right. That's one solution. And then the other one, x minus 3 equals 0. We're going to add 3 to both sides. All right. And you get x equals 3. All right. So my two solutions for this example right here is x equals negative 10 and x equals 3. Okay. All right, you try, man. There's some you tries right here. I'm gonna go ahead and write the answer in for you. You get, all right, those are your answers. All right, x is negative 6 and negative 8. And over here you get x is negative 4 and negative 2. This one's already factored for you, okay? So that one you just gotta set equal to 0 and solve. This one you gotta factor, okay? There's no GCF on either one of those. So man, hey guys, practice. Practice is all I can tell you, man. Remember, factoring is the foundation for the rest of the semester. So please, please, please practice, okay? That's the video, guys. Make sure you practice, and I hope this helps.